It's almost here. It's literally the biggest match of the year and one that countless legends, Hall of Famers and other famous wrestling names have made legacies out of. But not these guys. Hello friends, I'm Andy for What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 WWE legends who never competed in a Royal Rumble match. Number 10. Giant Gonzalez. Okay, aye, fair enough, legend might be a little bit of a stretch for this big beefy bodysuit boy because, I mean, it's Giant Gonzalez. His most famous match is widely regarded as one of the worst in WrestleMania history. But he's certainly a figure of legend, as in legendarily not good. So here he is. Gonzalez did actually enter the ring during the 1993 Rumble, doing so to eliminate The Undertaker, but he wasn't an official participant, just a cheeky invader. He spent the rest of the year feuding with the Deadman, chloroforming Mean Mark at WrestleMania, and then leaving the company later in the year. Why? Well, he kinda sucked. A lot. Number 9. KAMALA. The Ugandan giant first became prominent in WWE after signing in 1984, and he had a couple of different runs with the company, but the timing just didn't ever work out when it came to the Rumble. His first run ended before the Rumble debuted in January 1988. When he came back to WWE in 1992, the Rumble was very much a thing, but he was left off the card in 93 and then again in 94, when he was replaced by a fellow legend of the Squared Circle, Virgil. What's interesting about this is that poor KAMALA was advertised for both Rumble shows. He just never got to work the titular match. Released by WWE soon after being pulled from the Rumble in 94, that was his last realistic chance. He did, however, make the gimmick battle royal at WrestleMania 17, so I guess that almost counts. Number 8. Chris Candido. Arriving in the then WWF in 1995, Chris Candido featured as one half of the Body Donnas, Skip, managed by his real-life partner Tammy Lynn Sitch, aka Sunny. He was a gifted in-ring worker who was tragically never given the run his talents deserved before he passed away in 2005, and even though he was with WWE until late 1996, they never considered him for the Rumble. The closest that Candido ever came to competing in the famous Battle Royale was on the pay-per-view undercard in 1996, when the Body Donnas lost to the Smoking Guns. Number 7. Brian Pillman. The tragic tale of Brian Pillman concluded in October 1997 when he was found dead in his hotel room ahead of In Your House Bad Blood. He was just 35 years old. Signing with WWE in 1996, Pillman never really had a shot at making the Rumble. The influential Loose Cannon signed with WWE just 2 months after crushing his ankle in an automobile accident. His first couple of months for the company were spent in non-wrestling roles, though he was pulled from television entirely by November as he had to have corrective surgery, and he hadn't even worked his first match by the time the Rumble came around in January. Indeed, he didn't actually wrestle for WWE until May 97. Unfortunately, he'd already passed away by the following year's Rumble. Number 6. The Quebecers. We're going for 2 for 1 here, as neither Jacques nor Pierre of the Quebecers made it into the Rumble. They did work the 1994 card, defending their tag team titles, but they didn't get the chance to compete in the marquee match itself. While Pierre did spend a good amount of time as a Quebecer in WWE and then later in 95 as Jean-Pierre Lafitte, an actual pirate, his partner, Jacques Rougeau, had the longer WWE career. He was on the Rumble undercard in 1992 as the Mountie, losing to Roddy Piper, and he was on the roster as one half of the fabulous Rougeaus in 88, 89 and 90, but no Rumble for you. Sorry, Jacques. Number 5. Dynamite Kid. Speaking of the Rougeaus, one of the most famous backstage altercations ever went down between Jacques and Dynamite Kid in 1988. After weeks and weeks of malicious ribbing and, it has to be said, bullying from Dynamite Kid, Jacques decided he was gonna give him a receipt, punching him in the mouth while he was holding a roll of quarters. Dynamite Kid was all busted up, he lost several teeth, but he stayed standing somehow, which is kinda terrifying. You might be sitting there wondering, why is this bald idiot telling me about this? What on earth has this got to do with the Rumble? Well, this moment ended up playing a considerable role in Dynamite's departure from WWE. He was gone by the time the 1989 Rumble came about, and while his partner Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog, would eventually return and make a huge name for himself in several Rumbles, this wasn't the case for Dynamite, who never came back. Number 4. The Brooklyn Brawler. Can a jobber truly be called a legend? You're bloody well right they can, and Steve Lombardi is one of the most famous of them all, having stuck with WWE for a ridiculous 33 years. Much of that time was spent in a backstage role, but the Brooklyn Brawler was at least semi-active for a long time. Regardless, he was never even considered for, I don't know, a bushwhacker look spot. He worked dark matches on the 1990 and 92 shows, but despite his incredible longevity, the Rumble always seemed out of reach. Number 3. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. This might be one of the first names on this list that makes you go, what? But it's true. Despite his legendary resume, it just didn't work out for Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, who will go down as one of the best, if not the best babyface in pro wrestling history, but a guy who never wrestled in the Rumble. Much of this was to do with timing. He worked the opening match in 1988, beating Rick Rude via disqualification, but he was gone by the end of the year. When Steamboat returned in 1991, dubbed just The Dragon, well, that didn't exactly work out, and he was back in WCW by the end of the year, the Rumble eluding him once more. Number 2. Shane McMahon. Vince McMahon might be a former Rumble winner, but even though Shane McMahon is kinda fond of popping off in massive spots on huge wrestling shows, the fruit of Vince's loins has never actually gone over the top rope at the January pay-per-view. Early Rumbles saw Shane helping to referee the match from outside the ring, and as the years passed, he was introduced as a televised personality and eventually a wrestler, performing all kinds of wild stunt shows at WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. But he never completed the Big Four. He never wrestled a Rumble match. I guess that because he's still in really good shape for a 51-year-old, we might see him in the future, but until then, here he is. Number 1. Razor Ramon. The fake Razor Ramon deal might be one of the worst ideas in WWE history, but the one thing that Rick Bogner has over Scott Hall is that he actually made it to a Royal Rumble, doing so in 1997. Of course, by that point, the real Razor had already buggered off to WCW, but before that, he'd missed several opportunities to compete in the biggest match of the year. Now, granted, he probably wasn't losing much sleep over that, given that he was competing for titles in 93, 94, 95, and 96 there on the pay-per-view. Still, it's pretty nutty to think about. Razor Ramon is one of the most charismatic and attention-grabbing stars in WWE history, and in my view, the most famous legend to never appear in a Royal Rumble. So that's our list, but what do you guys think? Let us know in the comment section below. After that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Then, follow us on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE, and if you want to yell at me for calling Giant Gonzalez a legend, you can do so at Andy H. Murray. Goodbye.